Planned Parenthood was firebombed. If you haven't heard of this, don't be surprised. It's because the media, especially the right-wing media, has been almost completely silent about it. A potential incident of domestic terrorism took place, and it gets barely more than a yawn from most of the press. Someone firebombed a Planned Parenthood clinic in McKinney, Texas, late on Tuesday night. Luckily, because it was so late, no one was hurt. Here's the thing. This clinic, we know what the objective was here. It's an abortion-related thing, as we've seen many times. This particular clinic does not even provide abortions. So this was not necessarily in vain, because we know what the goal was, but they don't provide abortions. No one was hurt because it was late. But the potential here for damage was significant. We're hearing almost nothing. And we see more and more of these disturbing acts of violence at these family planning clinics. And a bottle was thrown that had it was an ignited container of diesel fuel, and it broke a window. And like I said, fortunately, no one was hurt. Now, you might have read about it on Twitter. Maybe you heard about it on a liberal blog. Probably not a newspaper, probably not a cable news channel, absolutely not on any right-wing blog, which is a little odd considering how much attention terrorist attacks get in this country. Don't they, Lewis? I mean, the media typically obsesses about terror attacks.
Of course.
However, there isn't evidence any Muslims were involved. Maybe we don't care as much. There isn't any evidence that people were trying to take away anyone's freedom, even though I would make the argument that if you're trying to restrict the ability for women to make decisions about their own medical treatment
and get legal abortions
and get access to safe and legal abortions, you're actually affecting people's freedom.
Of course.
We just don't really hear that narrative told.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Beck devoted an hour to falsely accusing Planned Parenthood of a bunch of different crimes. A bunch of major right-wing pundits have stepped up all of the anti-reproductive rights rhetoric. We've seen many states at the state level try to defund Planned Parenthood. We've even seen the right move a step further, which we predicted a year ago, Lewis, trying to prevent contraception, period. It's 2011, ladies and gentlemen. What argument can be made when Republicans try to attack contraception other than they want to control women's bodies? There is a misogynistic nature to many of these proposals that is very clear. Men want to control women's bodies. That's what is there for many. For many, it's the religious component, absolutely. Imagine if the target of this attack had been associated with the right. Imagine for a second, Lewis, that Marcus Bachmann's anti-gay therapy clinic, let's just say it was some diesel fuel in a glass bottle going through the window at midnight with no one hurt. This would be a major national story, and you know it, Lewis.
Of course.
It would be wall-to-wall coverage, even if no one was hurt, even if the attacker's identity was still unknown. It's even easier to imagine that if anyone had any reason to suspect a Muslim had been involved in this attack, it would not only be a major news story for days, it would be the subject of congressional inquiries, it would be maybe even an air war. Who would we bomb if there was evidence that this same attack was perpetrated by a Muslim, Lewis?
I agree. I think had someone been hurt at this clinic, it would have been a story, and we would have been hearing a lot more about it.
I think if one or two people get hurt in this incident, it still doesn't become the major story that it should be.
Not as major as it should be, but we'd hear more. We'd hear from more outlets about it.
You may be right. What's abundantly clear is that if it's Marcus Bachmann's clinic and no one gets hurt, we don't hear about anything other than
Even
this.
if it were graffiti on the outside wall of Marcus Bachmann's clinic,
it would be a bigger
story. It would be a huge story.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Make sure to like the David Pakman Show on Facebook. We are well above 2,000 likes now. It is facebook.com/David Pakman Show. We are here at the new studio at the Greenfield Community College campus. Still coming up, so much more to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about Mitt Romney, and we also really need to talk about the new right-wing attack on SpongeBob that's going on. And not only that, Lewis, for all the arguments about how the Koch brothers and Americans for Prosperity are a benign group that really just has some basic political views, more evidence that they are unethically trying to alter election results. Stay tuned. We'll take a break. Back on the David Pakman Show after this.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.